Hey y'all, welcome back to Gadfly, the podcast about third parties, French candidates, and just generally weird American electoral history. I'm Dusty Wilson.
I'm Una O'Leary.
And we are going to start today off with a little bit of third-party news. Teletype sounds, fax machine, all that good stuff. So there is, a while back we had a conversation about, what are the Trump Patriot parties that are going to start showing up? And the answer so far appears to have been what we kind of figured, is that they're just going to co-opt the Republican Party because actually making a new political party is a lot of work. But there does appear to be a unique sort of thing that is happening on the state level. And that is, it looks like various Proud Boys and the like are making their own local state parties.
Oh, no.
For example, there's a fellow by the name of Joshua Grant Wells of Hutchinson, Kansas, who has put forward paperwork to create the Midwest Nationalist Party.
Oh, boy.
It's going to be based out of Kansas, and it is going to be strictly based in white supremacy.
These are not nice boys.
So a lot of this was discovered by Midwest YLF, who mostly follow Anti-Fascist and Direct Action Collective. And so this has come a lot from them diving into Gab channels and Discords and things like that, because a lot of these people aren't very good at keeping their group secret, and it's very easy to infiltrate online.
Yeah, they're proud.
Yeah, God damn it. Proud Boys don't need passwords. This particular political party, as it's being formed as of right now, is kind of a blend between Alex Jones listeners and QAnon refugees and Proud Boys and full-on white supremacists, including other members such as Fiona Peden, who is a former member of the U.S. Army, as well as Josette Story, who is the vice president of the Jackson Elementary School Parent-Teacher Association.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so it's gotten fucking weird. I don't know how much is going to come of this party. Supposedly they have a connection with a local newspaper that's agreed to print their party platform. That could just be blowing smoke. There's a lot of these groups say a lot of big shit's going to happen, and then it ends up either being miscommunications or just lies.
Yeah, or Parler doesn't get off the ground.
Oh god. Oh my god. And so this is just something we're going to keep an eye on. It's really interesting to watch this, especially because is it being created because it's people wanting to create their own cult? Is there a power vacuum going on in these particular areas? Are the Republican parties in these areas not considered strong enough? So it's kind of hard to tell, especially with Kansas. Kansas has had a very weird set of years for the Republicans.
Oh, yeah. And they had that one guy who couldn't stop stepping on his dick, who was in charge of the vote count. And even the Republicans were like, please just get out of the way.
Yes. Attorney General Chris Kobach, who
That's it. Yes.
run so many bad campaigns that Trump himself has repeatedly told him to fucking stop.
It is telling.
And is the sole reason that Kansas currently has a Democrat governor. I mean, other than the fact that Laura Kelly is a fantastic candidate and is doing a great job.
But we all know that's never enough.
No. You had to throw Chris fucking Kobach out there for this shit to work. So I could totally see there being some weirdness in the party and dealing with shit. They've also had a state senator who is currently facing charges for, quote, kicking a high school student in the balls.
What is wrong with people?
For this particular guy, it appears to be a mental health break of some sort, because he's a substitute teacher who's also a state senator, and he started going off in this end times rant and attacking students. So that's more what that appears to be, but it's also just not a good look.
No, all of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and especially when someone asked him, why is the student all bruised up? He said, God works in mysterious ways, which does not hold up in court. So weird things happening in Kansas. We're going to keep an eye on it as things permit. So, if you're in Kansas, just, keep your head on a swivel.
God.
And on that note, I think that's actually a pretty good segue for what we're talking about today, because today we're diving into some pretty dark territory.
Damn it, Dusty.
Yeah, and weirdly enough, it is one of the few examples in modern American electoral history wherein an elected official would be formally charged with murder.
Ooh.
Yeah, I thought there would be a much longer list. There's one incredibly terrible person in the 1910s who was charged with a litany of crimes. And then there's this guy.
Murder.
Yeah, for a true crime podcast now. It's my favorite elected murder. So big trigger warning up top. We are going to be discussing acts of violence, including physical violence and sexual violence at points in this episode. So if those are potentially difficult subjects to listen to, then this is probably a really good episode to skip. So today we're going to be talking about Byron Anthony Looper, who was born in 1964 in Cookeville, Tennessee. Now, there isn't a ton out there about his childhood, but people reported that Byron's father was a real demanding sort that, quote, expected perfection from him. Early in his life, Byron's father would even tell him and tons of other people that he expected his son to be a senator one day, if not president of the United States.
Yeah, but you named your kid Byron.
Yeah, you're fucked. Yeah, Byron is never... If Byron's your last name, yeah, you might have a chance. But if it's your first name, you gotta change that name.
You named him after an incredibly highly sexually proclivic poet who changed the way we wear dress shirts.
Look, Byron, I like the way you write. You did some good work in Greece. That turban, interesting choice. Might have to come back to that. It's pronounced Don Juan. It is not Don Juan.
Oh my God.
Ugh. Anyway. Some good Byron humor for our audience.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so this is something he was telling his kid at a young fucking age. Like before he even got to elementary school, he was pulling that shit. And so it ended up turning Byron into the sort of person who, as his classmates put it, quote, wanted to do things that look good on a resume or do anything that would give him the notoriety that made him seem important.
Oh no.
It's not great. So one of the things I was debating whether or not to put this in. So one of the resources I often use is a database called newspapers.com. To give you an idea of who uses it, the login font is like 40. So I'm probably easily the youngest person who uses it. But looking deep into Byron's noted times in newspapers, there was a newspaper from Murfreesboro that stated that there had been an arrest of a 15-year-old by the name of Byron Looper for possession of marijuana with intent to sell. So I don't know if it was him. There's definitely more than one Byron Looper, probably, not many. But it's close enough to where he lived that it seems like at the age of 15, Byron might have been trying to get into the drug game a little bit. But the charges would be dropped because of a faulty search warrant.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. It's a grain of salt. No clue if it's the same Byron, but I think enough happens in the future and things that we learn about Byron that this seems like something that he did attempt to do.
Yeah. And also, okay, so he's born in 1964. At 15, that's 79.
Yeah, 79.
Yeah, okay, so he went and saw The Godfather. Like...
Yeah.
There's about Easy Rider, I'm sure, came out by then.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Plus, he's becoming a job creator.
Exactly, yeah. Look, I get it. And, very, very honestly, weed's not a bad thing. It is not very dangerous. No, I wouldn't trust a 15-year-old to curate it, but...
But also, in 1979, I doubt there was, I can't imagine there was curation the way that we have it now. Yeah. Where the strains are, ridiculously named with the same importance as, vintners.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I just can't keep thinking how embarrassing it must be if your dealer's 15. Just this is weird enough already, man. Can you just give it to an adult that I can buy this from? I'll pay extra.
Yeah, it's I have to go hang out at my dealer's house, but it's also his parents' house because he's 15.
He keeps asking me if I have an Atari. It's very strange.
Part of our tacit agreement is that I give him a ride to the mall. He only has a permit.
Oh, goddamn. Well, and yeah.
I got my girlfriend.
And, I think that also kind of makes sense because he does end up having a bit of a love for showy cars. And if you're a teenager, one of the best ways to get showy cars is to kind of start selling weed or figuring out ways to get a lot of money.
A lot of money, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not weed's fault. It's the fact that we've always, suppressed our hourly wages with the thought of, teenagers are only supposed to be taking these jobs. And what do they have to save up for besides everything?
Yeah. Besides their future, what do they need money for? Oh my God. Yeah, here's $5.50 an hour. Don't spend that all on Pop Rocks and gas. Anyway, so that might have happened, that might not have happened, but I'm pretty sure it did. So his first move into a very serious adult move into doing something important and noteworthy would be when he was accepted into the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. However, 2 years after he began his training, Byron would be thrown from a horse, and this resulted in severely fucking up his knee.
Oof.
And from best I could tell, they didn't see a spot for him in any sort of office position or anything like that. And since he can't really run around on a fucked up knee, he was given an honorable discharge.
That sucks.
But he bounced back. He immediately enrolled at the University of Georgia in Athens, Georgia, and began studying there. And during his time there, he would run afoul of the law in the first official sense, mainly that he amassed about 3 citations for driving under the influence while he was there. And I get it. It's an SEC school. You're gonna fucking party, but don't fucking drive. Athens is a very walkable city.
Sure, I'm sure Athens is Atlanta at large.
No. But
it's a college town.
Yeah, Athens is, as all cities in America named Athens, it's a very sweet college town full of hippies. The band REM was probably there at the time.
That's right.
Yeah, huge music scene going on at the University of Georgia at that time.
Oh.
So he's there, he's having a good time, just someone needs to take away his fucking keys. But it was also during this time that he decided he was going to run for public office for the first time in his life. So in 1988, his junior year of college, Byron ran for the Georgia State House against beloved incumbent Wycliffe Orr. Now at this time, I know we bring this up a lot, but this is during the time in which Democrats were everywhere in the Southeast, weren't the liberal sorts. They were very conservative, mainly because the Republicans were on the fighting end of the Civil War. So being a Republican in the Southeast when people still remember their uncles and grandfathers fighting in the Civil War, not a good look.
Yeah, so you had the Dixiecrats.
Exactly, yeah. But this is roundabout about the time that's kind of starting to change a little bit. But
in 88? It would have, yeah.
It's getting there, yeah. It's definitely getting there.
Nixon's strategy in the 70s?
Yep, yeah. Okay. Nixon started it, and I have a theory of what ended it, or like made it successful, but we'll get there.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and so he decides he's going to run against Wycliffe Orr. But the thing is, he doesn't really seem super serious about it. There's no reporting on his campaign, and he also failed to complete a survey of his campaign platform for a local voter's guide. And this was something that Wycliffe and his other major competitor had taken the time to do. So naturally, Byron came in last place. He got 2,600 votes, which is around 16.67%, but he just got completely blown out of the water. He had no chance. But then again, Byron was also probably too busy to do much campaigning. That same year, he was also a campaign volunteer for Al Gore's presidential primary campaign, and he also took a job in the state legislature working for his uncle, Georgia State Representative Max Looper. Now, Max is interesting. I wish I could find more about him, but the two details I found were this. His main claim to fame was pushing a law that would have required all rapists to be castrated.
Oof.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's that, which you hear that and you're just like, that's a comedy joke, but also that's a common sense solution. Dare, fuck rapists. And yes, fuck rapists. But on the other hand, when I tell you the second detail, it's probably going to make it seem way worse. Max also happened to be an extremely active member of the Klan.
Oh, so he just wanted to castrate black men.
Yep.
Yes,
that's it.
I hear the staunch phrase like castrate all rapists. I'm like, okay, how about we start with actually, I don't know, going through rape kits?
Yes. Yeah, we can enact that law once you've gone through every DNA kit, and we can go from there.
Fucking convict them first? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Step one?
Yeah, it's a good beginning.
So okay. Yeah. All right.
And so he's learning from Uncle Max at the Georgia State House how to be a politician.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and I imagine that had to be really embarrassing when he was like, oh, I was running to work here with you. And his uncle's like, yeah, whatever, man. Just fucking sit here, shut up, and bring me a coffee. Bring me a nice 1980s coffee. Make it a Sanka. Make sure it's watered down and half of it sweet and low.
It's going to be decaf, but I'm not going to acknowledge that. And I'm just going to be thanking for the whole day.
I like my coffee like I like my women, leaving me as quickly as possible.
Bitter.
And very, God damn it. Oh, man. Like, if there's anything we've learned here on the Gadfly podcast, you can absolutely commit libel if someone used to be a member of the Klan. So that's some not legal advice for everyone. Or is it slander when you say it out loud? It's slander. Whatever.
Either way, all right, so Uncle Max.
Yeah, either way, Uncle Max cannot be trusted. It's not entirely clear how long he worked for his uncle, but it seems like he left after about a year to begin grad school at Mercer University in Atlanta. And it's here he went about getting his master's in business and economics, which I think is like a joint single major or something like that. Okay. And he used his free time to serve at the university's branch of the Young Democrats. And best I can tell, he got his degree the next year. It was either like a 1 year or 2 year program, something like that. At least this is kind of according to his own timeline. That's because in 1990, Byron would move to Puerto Rico to enroll in law school.
Oh.
Yeah. So, you've made this joke a couple of times in past episodes. I mean, I would say, anytime someone says, oh, I went to a law school in Puerto Rico, that's kind of equivalent to saying, oh, I have a girlfriend in Canada.
Yeah, it's usually like the medical school in St. Thomas kind of like.
Yeah, and that's not to say there are not amazing law schools in Puerto Rico.
And I will say, because I think someone I went to high school with ended up at like a St. Thomas-esque medical school, or maybe it was a veterinarian school. But either way, there was a sense of like, this is my dream profession, and this allowed me to go after it. Like, hey, that's great. Do some good in the world.
Yeah, but I think I might also be a little tainted by facts I know that you do not. So in 1990, he goes to Puerto Rico. He's going to go into law school. And you know what he found out when he got there? Puerto Rico? Spanish? Yeah. I mean, did you know that? Because he didn't. And so he gets to this university, he sits down in class, and they start speaking Spanish the whole time.
No one informed him? Like, at no point did he recognize that he might need to be fluent in Spanish to go to this law school?
Nope. Puerto Rico is like Quebec. You have to do both languages. Oh. No, that's not even close to the case. He just assumed that, Puerto Rico, I don't even know if he connected that it's a protectorate or a Commonwealth of America. And so obviously they're going to speak English. But no, he got in there, sat in his first class, sat there for like a week of classes, and was flabbergasted that none of the classes were taught in English.
I mean, hell of a way to learn a language.
It really is. You got to learn Latin and Spanish.
Yeah, he's like, you're learning very specific vocab right off the bat. Oh god, yeah. And like, the if-then statements, but in another language.
Yeah,
conditional phrasing.
Oh, 100%. But so here's the funny thing, because after he discovered that the university would not bend to his will and teach him in English, he sued the university.
Come on, no.
One problem though, when people started looking into it, no one could find the university that he was talking about. Yeah, it appears that Byron invented a university in Puerto Rico and then pretended that he came back because they wouldn't teach him in English, but it's cool because he's suing them.
Oh, this is officially unhinged.
Yeah, it's you're going to be swimming through red flags through a lot of this episode.
Oh, no.
So the years after this fabricated lawsuit are pretty barren, but Byron would resurface in 1992 in a big fucking way. For one, he volunteered for the Clinton-Gore presidential campaign. But for two, he moved back home to Putnam County, Tennessee. And maybe all that campaigning had brought back his itch to re-enter politics. But when he reached his home, he was prepared to do everything that he possibly could to win whatever election came next. And his first big move towards this was to change his party affiliation from Democrat to Republican. And as a tactic, it's really not a bad one. And this is kind of my theory as to how Nixon's Southern strategy became cemented. We've talked a bit about how the mythos of the Clintons has grown within the QAnon movement and in the Republican movement in general. And so now if you're a Dixiecrat, if you're a hardcore conservative and the bannerman of your party is Bill Clinton, there's a lot of folks who don't want to stay on board for that. And this was around the same time that Newt Gingrich began to rise. And so now you have a new figurehead that you can look towards. He's a Southern Republican from Georgia, and it gives you it's the perfect time to be able to switch from being a long-term Democrat to a brand new Republican.
Oh, definitely, because for those people, they look at Newt Gingrich, it's like, that's me. That's who I am.
And if this is a dude who can rise to prominence, being a Republican, and people are no longer giving a fuck that the Republicans led the war against us during the Civil War, then this is the time.
It's been over 100 years. Yeah, carpetbaggers aren't so much the issue anymore.
Yeah, like how many years do you have to wait before a joke is funny? Only worse. Only far worse. And so I think this was kind of the perfect moment. And Byron was weirdly enough he was kind of one of the early people to adopt to this. But it wasn't so much due to his own beliefs. From what everyone's been saying, he didn't really have any political beliefs one way or the other. He just viewed this as the best opportunity that he could possibly have to defeat a Democrat in rural Tennessee.
Right.
And this was, I would say it, his one good idea. So the big problem he's facing, though, is that he's been away from the county for so long that no one remembers who the fuck this guy is. And the local Democrats and Republicans had a bit of a good old boys club atmosphere. And yeah, they were probably very selective about who they let in and who they didn't. But a lot of that attitude is a lot more based in the fact that they just don't want carpetbaggers coming in to take over their area and tell them how to live. That's a kind of a long-standing rural tradition all the way back to coal companies coming into Appalachia to buy the land out from under you, to, a bunch of folks coming in and saying, oh, we're going to make everything better because all y'all are too stupid to know how to fix things, and then not fix anything. And so it's kind of built up a very strong wall amongst folks who already live there, especially when it comes to outsiders.
It can also be the gatekeeping that keeps like the disenfranchised.
Oh, 100% that as well. That is, you are not wrong there, because a lot of the folks coming in from the outside also are, freedom writers who are like, maybe you should let people vote. Maybe. Yeah.
This poll tax is illegal.
Yeah. Hey guys. Maybe you should fucking stop.
Maybe this black person should also be allowed to run for state senator. No, that cross caught on fire real quick.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. And so Byron was going against this sort of an attitude. And since no one knows who he is, and he's moving into town from Georgia back to his hometown, he has to figure out a way to be able to get past this immediate distrust of who he is. So in 1994, Byron would face this head on during his return to politics. He announced that he'd be running for the Tennessee House against incumbent Democrat Jer Horgrove. Now, Jer only had served a couple of terms, but he was also a known commodity in the community. He was born in Cookeville. He stayed in state to get his initial degree, and he served as the county's assistant district attorney before he ran for Tennessee House. And Byron, well, he was new in town. He just, he's kind of a little off-putting. He's a little intense. And, just for instance, just a few days after he filed to run against Jer, he sent him a letter asking his help in getting him a job at the Farmers Home Administration, which Representative Hargrove just kind of paused for a second and then threw it in the trash. And I'm paraphrasing here. He essentially was like, it seemed like a really weird thing to do and just set off a ton of red flags. So he figured it was better to just not respond.
I'm just going to pretend this never happened. Wait, so he gets this letter and it's his known opponent.
Yes, his brand new opponent asking for a job.
That's okay.
Not just asking for a job, asking him to pull some strings to get him a job.
I don't even know where to begin. Okay.
Una, is this why boomers have such a weird idea of what it takes to get hired?
This kid is a Gen Xer.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh my God, his Uncle Max is probably like, I don't know, man, just fucking write the state representative. People ask me all the time.
Yeah.
Only forgot to tell him, you should probably include a bribe or something.
Well, maybe...
Don't run against the guy you're asking for a job.
Pick one.
Yeah. And I don't know if the implication was, hey, maybe if you give me this job, maybe I won't run against you, or what it was, or if it was just a genuine thing where he's like, I'm your esteemed opponent, and as such, maybe you should give me a job because you respect me so much.
I feel like the left and the right hand didn't know what the other, I feel like he was running. And at the same time, he's like, oh, I'm going to ask this guy for a job.
I mean, I already have his address. I might as well. So Byron would handily lose. But despite this, he was raring to get going on his next campaign. He took out an ad in Campaigns and Elections magazine, a magazine I really wish still existed, stating he was looking for a professional consultant. And he would catch the eye of a dude from Louisiana by the name of William Lindsay Adams. And so they hooked up over the phone during their first interview. And William said he knew he had to get the hell out as soon as fucking possible.
Wow.
Supposedly Byron told him, quote, if candidate wasn't in the race at the end, it wouldn't cost him very much to win. It'd be about 35 cents, the price of a bullet. And after this, I imagine William just set fire to his phone, changed his number, and bought at least 1 gun and or 3 dogs. It's I don't know how that's funny. Or if he's just bouncing ideas off the guy.
I'm just spitballing here. It's like, look, there are no bad ideas when you're spitballing.
Also, Byron, I hate to break it to you, man. You can't buy Lucy's of bullets. You have to buy them in a box. That's how it goes. You can't just be like, 1 bullet, please.
I only require 1 bullet for 35 cents, please. I'm an excellent marksman.
Sir, do you need a hug? You want to talk it out a little bit? This doesn't, I feel morally obligated to not sell you 1 bullet.
Right. There's 1 person in front of me.
Anything less than 3 is not a good look. So in 1996, Byron would enter the 3rd race of his career, this time for the Putnam County tax assessor. Now, Una, for all the points, what does a tax assessor do?
A tax assessor assesses the taxes.
You get lucky this time. But I mean, kind of. So the job of a tax assessor is to go around to all the properties in the county to assess their value and use that to estimate property tax.
Oh, I think, yes. I don't know if it goes by the name tax assessor, but I think it came out a year or 2 ago in Chicago that the person who was essentially the tax assessor of Chicago was completely bought and paid for. And that's why
100%.
Rent in Chicago has gone through the roof for no good reason, to the detriment of small-time landlords.
Yeah, this is weirdly why during Lori Lightfoot's mayoral run, why tax assessor was such a strongly fought election, or at least the primary. I can't remember the name of the guy. He was just a very old man who was living a very comfortable life.
So comfortable.
Yeah, ended up being beaten by Fritz Kagi, who was just a dude just like, I just want to use math. Just let me fix everything with math.
Like, please, none of this makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to.
He's just like wiping his brow over a TI-81, just like, none of this is good. But yeah, so it's a job that, it's pretty thankless. It's fairly low on the rung of respected titles, but it carries so much fucking power if you decide to use it in evil ways.
I mean, so much dumb power thanks to the way our country is set up, because the property taxes then decide whether or not yours is a good school district.
Yeah.
It's just like, that shouldn't matter, but here we are.
So Byron would be going up against a 14-year incumbent by the name of Bill Ripito. Now, Bill's a long-term Democrat, probably the very conservative type, and Byron's going to be running against him as a conservative Republican. And Byron's plan was to not make any public appearances or directly debate Bill. What he did was he ran a series of extremely negative ads.
Oh, Lord.
So a lot of them were based on the narrative that, there's a group of good old boys and they've been running politics, here in Southwest Tennessee for 9 century, and they don't want to let me in, and I just want to help you. But he also took one really big swing. Byron began to claim that it was discovered that Ripito had been giving his political friends deep discounts on their property taxes and had reassessed the values of homes of folks who did him political favors, which was a complete fucking lie. But it also kind of coincided with the fact that some of the people on the county commissioners board and other politicians in the Democrat Party did have lower property taxes than some other people. And Ripito would just be like, no, look, there's math, there's an algorithm behind this. You just have to sit down with me for 15 minutes and I'll explain it to you. And where did you go?
And no taxpayer is going to do that. They're just going to be cranky.
Look, you can't get between a boomer and their taxes. They get fucking pissed off. You can't do it.
It's so angry.
And so based on a complete and total lie, Byron started gaining clout. He started getting people in the community volunteering for his campaign. Folks were campaigning for the man who would not campaign himself.
No, don't give him your free labor.
Well, and his big thing was he was extremely anti-tax. And so his big promise was, I'm just going to get rid of as many of these taxes as I can.
Oh, yeah. That's music to anyone's ears in the 90s.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And so his very last campaign ad is really interesting, and we'll come back to it later. But his very last one, he introduced his wife, Terry, and stated that he was, quote, a new kind of leader. And guess what? That's all you need to do to defeat a 14-year incumbent.
Oh, Lord.
So Byron would win 53-47. But being a very weird store winner, Byron sued the county for election fraud.
What?
So his reasoning behind this was he knew people who said they voted for him but weren't allowed to go in to vote or something like that, or like they tried to vote for him and they were just like, oh, you're not in this district, or like shit like that. And his belief was that since he only won by 6%, it would discourage people from voting for him in the future because it wasn't a big enough victory.
That is completely fitting within the logic of the Byron world as I've experienced it so far. But my head hurts.
Yeah. It's like, I only won by 6%, Papa. Do you love me yet, Father?
This isn't going to prove anything to my daddy.
I assessed your property taxes with macaroni and glue. Please notice me, Papa.
Why won't you hug me?
And so this case would be thrown out the following year by U.S. District Court Judge Todd Campbell, who said, quote, he lacks standing because no actual harm or injury to the plaintiff can be found. And the threat of future injury is neither real nor immediate, but is hypothetical.
Yeah.
So on Byron's first day of work, he held a press conference, always a good sign. And he claimed that he had discovered $100 million worth of property taxes that had not been paid, clearly proving that all the bullshit that he had pulled out of thin air about Ripito was actually correct. The problem with this, though, is that the county would get back to him and be like, yeah, that's the amount we expect to find before the checks start coming in. They're just not due yet.
For fuck's sake.
So maybe don't hold any more press conferences here, dude.
Like, you don't even know what your job is. And we gave you a binder and you clearly haven't read it.
Wait, that wasn't like a booster seat? And so Byron responded to this by going to Puerto Rico for 3 weeks.
I'm sorry, excuse me? Seriously?
Yep.
What?
I gotta make up a college to sue. Bye.
I was going to say, to pick up his degree?
Yeah, he held a press conference, got shamed in public, left the state for 3 weeks.
I mean, so many things, but the first and foremost for me is like, man, I get 10 days vacation.
Yeah.
This guy does a press conference and then fucks off for 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. And here's what I want clarified. Has he actually held a job before now?
I mean, he worked for Max. He worked for Uncle Max real good.
You know what? I'm not counting that. So this is his first actual job.
I think it might be.
And he does a press conference for Daddy's Love and then leaves for Puerto Rico.
Yep.
Puerto Rico, of course, does not want him.
No, but he's got to celebrate. He's got to drink like almost a month's worth of Pisco Sours and just have a time.
The life I want to live.
And so after 3 weeks, he never really came back to work.
Swear to God. Okay, continue.
So one of his campaign workers, a dude by the name of Donald Wofford, had gotten a job when Byron initially got into office. Like, Byron just hired a bunch of people who worked for him and brought in Donald as well. And Donald stated that during the first month of the job, Byron maybe amassed about 40 hours of total work. And this was about average for the rest of the time that he was there.
God.
And when he did come to work, it seems it was mostly to fire people.
That's not what you want to do. These are the only people who are like pushing the papers around so that you don't have to.
No, you got to get that good old boy network out. Even if they're people who helped you win the election, if they've been corrupted, you got to get them out. You got to help the taxpayers.
Judas.
I know, right? Fuck you, Donald. You and your honest statements to the Tennessean. And so within the first 2 years of his 6-year tenure, he was elected for 6 years of this shit. So you're stuck with this guy. The turnover in the assessor's office included 37 people. And you know what? I'm going to look this up. I'm going to look up the population of Putnam County so you can have an idea of how many folks probably should have been running that office. There we are. Putnam County, population, 1980, 47,000 people. You don't need that many people to operate the fucking tax assessor's place. You don't need 37 people over 2 years. And the common thread was that if you disagreed with Byron at any fucking point, even if you were one of his supporters, he would immediately fire you. One such important person was Byron's own campaign manager, who would state after his firing, quote, "I can't believe I helped to foist this guy on Putnam County. It's absolutely one of the sorriest things I've ever done in my life."
I'm sorry, did no one think to recall his ass?
I didn't think that's an option in Tennessee. You're just stuck with the guy.
Because it's not a federal thing. It's just state by state.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. So they are fucking stuck. And someone saying this is the sorriest thing I've done in my life. I immediately picture a dude with just a worn out pipe, just staring at the ground like he's just embarrassed everyone who came over to the state during indentured servitude. And he's just like, this is what I fucking done. Great.
I imagine someone wearing Hawaiian print cargo shorts and socks with sandals and just being like, this is the sorriest thing I've done. And look at me. Like,
they turned down my application to start a Subaru dealership. My life's ruined. But of all the new hires, one would be for a security chief, something that the tax assessor's office had never had. But he had a good reason for it. You see, when one of the few days that Byron was in the office, he was kind of looking around, and he thought he saw a little spy camera in one of the hanging tiles. And so he brought in a security chief to look through the entire office to see what he could find. And of course, he didn't find anything, but that doesn't mean it can't happen eventually. And so the security chief stayed on.
Oh my God. Yeah, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean you're wrong.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot. The other reason he thought he was so sure is that when he thought he saw the camera, he heard an old man in the room cough and assumed that that guy was also spying on him.
I'm just saying, can we have like any kind of wellness check?
It would have been great. So the security chief came in, checked everything, found nothing, stayed on. And his tenure also included him punching a resident in the face.
What?
So someone came in to complain about their property assessment, and the security chief just punched him.
The security chief punched him?
Yeah.
No!
Yep. I'm here to do two things, assess property and take names, and I don't know how to assess property. So while all that was going on, Byron had also ordered 3 of his employees to begin photocopying all of the county commission records, claiming that he was going to make the documents public and reveal the good old boy network that had been bleeding the county dry. To which the county commission informed him, those records have always been available to the public and anyone can request them at any time. And so after 2 years on the job, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation started looking into Byron, and within the year, indicted him on 14 counts of official misconduct during his tenure as tax assessor.
Good!
Oh, there's stuff you don't know about that we're going to talk about. So one charge is that Byron used the fax machines at the assessor's office to send out policy papers and updates to media outlets across the state. Not only that, but he had ordered 2 county employees to compile the list of prominent newspapers and news stations, in effect running his campaign for his next race directly from the office.
No.
Yeah, because it's a crime.
So crime.
The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation found in their records that at least 500 faxes had been sent within 2 years, and nearly all of them had been done long distance.
Oh my God, what an asshole!
We're just bleeding the county dry just with fax machines.
Stop sending these to Tokyo. No one there can vote for you.
So
You're
there's
just fixing.
Oh my God, I got to get this guy's name. It seems like there was one reporter whose sole job was to follow this guy. His last name was Alagood. I can't remember his first name though, but he's a dude who worked for the Tennessean. And so he was pretty much the guy that whenever this shit came up, he would start to contact Byron. And he asked him, dude, why are you faxing all these people across the state? They don't live in Putnam. Looper stated, quote, "County landowners live across the state. I need to keep them informed. I think I've been on the cutting edge of some things. I'm trying to get my message to the people." He then stated that he hadn't done anything wrong, and this was clearly an attempt to get him to drop out of his run for the next race that he was doing, U.S. Congress.
Yeah, so he's just faxing everyone with a fax because he's running for senator.
Yeah, he's running for Congress, and he's literally just faxing every news station, every newspaper. I think the New York Times. Like, he's just messaging everyone in the state that he can, and other major newspapers.
This journalist is like, again, please stop sending your responses via fax.
Look, Byron, this is funny. We're out of toner.
Yeah, and it's expensive, man.
So another charge is that Byron had asked a local developer for a campaign contribution for his congressional run, telling them that if he gave generously, then he could give him a, quote, developer discount. The developer turned him down and immediately contacted the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation.
Good!
And 1 month later, Byron raised the taxes not on the developer's properties, but on the home of the developer's parents.
Dude, so who handed you a shovel and said, keep digging? Like,
no, this is politics. God. Look, Uncle Max said one thing. If they go after you, you tax their parents to death.
If they got ground, you've got salt.
So a third charge is that, for some reason, Byron had removed 10 property owners from the county tax rolls and attempted to place them in the neighboring county, essentially changing the county lines and kicking those folks out of his jurisdiction. Oh wait, I know exactly why he did this. It was because they were all homes owned by the county commissioners. He was trying to kick his bosses out of the county.
Oh my God, Byron, this is so insane.
And the thing is, the Tennessee Division of Property Assessments immediately caught him and reversed all the changes.
Yeah, no, this is like drunk on the dumbest power.
Yeah, you've succeeded in nothing and you're trying everything. I'll show you to embarrass me at my one press conference.
The one bit of work I ever did.
But Byron did have one ace up his sleeve. He called a press conference and produced a tape recording of an anonymous looper ally talking with the county district attorney. Byron told the press that he had received the tape in 1997, but he was just waiting for the right moment to make it public. And supposedly, you could hear the DA telling this anonymous person that they needed to, quote, set up Byron Looper. However, the tape was only 15 seconds long, there's a ton of static, and the voice initiating the setup didn't sound a whole lot like the district attorney. But despite this, Looper ran the recording on local radio as an attack ad and called the tape, quote, irrefutable proof. I do find it funny that it's 15 seconds long because that's about as long as a radio ad's allowed to be. 15 to 30 seconds.
So dumb.
So not 1 week after the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation filed their charges, Byron would be sued, this time by a local attorney by the name of Henry Fincher. Now, Henry also happened to be the former county chairman of the Democratic Party, and Byron made a statement to the press that the previous tax assessor had given Henry a deep discount on his property tax. The problem, though, is that Henry hadn't actually bought that particular property until 3 months after Looper had taken office, and the assessment of the property made by Ripito and Looper were pretty much the same. So Henry sued Byron for libel and demanded that Looper pay court costs as well as print a full apology in the local newspaper.
Yeah, fax this, motherfucker.
I want all your fax machines now. I'm just going to burn them in front of you.
It's 1997. Get an email address.
Byron Looper at fiberia.com/Lycos.
.gov, because he's absolutely using his government ID.
Oh my God. But that's not enough to get a guy like Byron Looper to drop out of running for Congress. This is his fucking destiny. And he made it very official in one of the weirdest ways possible. He legally changed his middle name from Anthony to Low Tax.
Oh, boy.
So according to Leon Allagood, who was that reporter I was talking about who worked at the Tennessean, he claimed that if you wrote up an article that just had his name, Byron Looper, he would call you up and demand that you had misspelled his name and that you have to run a correction in the next newspaper because his full legal name is Byron Low Tax Looper. Low Tax Looper also works, but the full name is best.
Oh, Byron, baby.
Look, I don't know what's wrong with that middle name, though. Wouldn't you change your middle name to like a policy that you cared about very much?
You know what it is? It's just trashy.
It really is. It really is. About the only other person I think we can really compare this to is there's an Idaho, I believe he's a Constitution Party candidate in a lot of things who legally changed his name to pro-life. Like no last name or anything. His full name is pro-life.
You're not Cher.
I don't want to be abortion chair. Let me have this.
It just feels like the equivalent to getting like a really cheesy tribal tattoo on your arm.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
All right. I guess I should not change my name then to Dusty Bullet Train System across the country. Well, I was really excited about that.
Una 35-hour work week over here.
Yes. Oh, I love that. That'd be such a good union name. Later in the 1910s, and you carried around like tiny pistols and shit.
It's like one of the Democratic candidates coming out of Wisconsin last election was a guy whose nickname was Ironsides because he was.
Oh, the iron worker guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very problematic background.
Oh, I don't remember that part. That's so unfortunate.
Yeah. But yeah, like Ironside's there's a lot of good nicknames out there. You just gotta be really fucking careful and not make them your legal goddamn name.
Exactly. It's like a nickname, which shows that you have friends who would give you a nickname.
Yeah, even the dude who went by Big Daddy Unruh didn't change his name legally to Big Daddy because I think it puts you on a list.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's automatic.
What do you mean I'm not allowed near schools? And so he changed his name to Byron Low Tax Looper. It became emblazoned on all of his campaign paraphernalia. It's just what he became known as. But if Low Tax was to win, he would need more than just a fancy new middle name. He would first need to defeat 3 other Republicans in the primary before facing 6-term incumbent Congressman Bart Gordon. And Bart Gordon, as is kind of a theme with everyone that Byron runs against, is incredibly beloved.
And I'm sure competent.
Yeah, I didn't look far enough into him to know if he was competent or not.
If the other option is Byron, guess what? He's competent.
So while the other 3 Republicans mostly ran on the same platform of stronger national defense, more local control of schools, and tax reform, Byron took a much more intense tact. Looper would state that his platform included opposing abortions, opposing flag burning, and ending the, quote, mollycoddling of criminals. He was pro-gun, anti-tax, and every article about the race includes about half the word count going to all the ways Lou Tax is being sued. And so by June of 1998, Byron would be sued again, this time by his ex-girlfriend, Terry Guess. Now, you might remember the name Terry because when he was running for tax assessor, he introduced her in an ad as his wife.
His wife.
That was a lie.
Okay. No, I'm somewhat relieved because you mentioned that. It's like, and immediately in my head, I was like, this guy got married, but I knew you would have some explanation. Like I would hear more about Terry.
Yeah.
Here we are.
I would have talked about how she was, the first person by his side when that horse ended his military career, or like, she picked him up from his 8th DUI or something.
Right. Or like I would have eventually heard about the divorce and how ugly it was.
Exactly. Yeah. So they essentially met when Byron moved back to Putnam County. He was looking for a place to stay, found a 2-flat where he could rent an apartment, and Terry was the landlord. From there, a relationship began, during which Byron was frequently physically abusive. subversive. He also included Terry in his campaign material, portraying her as his wife, despite the two never being married. And after 2 years, Terry ended the relationship. The problem, though, was he was still a tenant.
No!
And shortly after, Byron would visit her apartment, he would break in, and he would end up raping Terry. And this resulted in Terry becoming pregnant. She immediately evicted him, and in retaliation, Byron created a fraudulent deed, and using the powers that he had as assessor, transferred ownership of her home to himself.
Oh, I'm so angry.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck this guy.
Yeah, we went from like, oh, Byron, you goof, to like, oh, you're genuinely evil.
Yeah.
And look,
fuck him.
I will show you a picture of this guy. He looks like a doughy Elon Musk with circle glasses.
Oh.
Like, he looks relatively unassuming. Like he's, third in charge of a Boy Scout troop.
Oh my God.
He does this, and when the papers went to him being like, hey, Byron, what the fuck? He called her a, quote, former stripper, referenced a really weird Jeff Foxworthy joke, and then accused her of suing him because he was running against Bart Gordon, and that it was the Gordon campaign causing her to sue him, which did not amuse Terry's lawyer, a dude by the name of Henry Fincher, who had already sued Byron.
Yeah. Henry Fincher knows what's up with this dude.
No, I want to meet Henry Fincher. I feel like he's just a no-nonsense Southern dude. I just picture a guy who sits on his porch in pure silence and doesn't really want to talk because nature is leading the conversation.
Ooh, chills. I love this.
And so Terry would end up suing Byron for about $1.3 million, and I honestly have no idea if she ended up getting it.
Well, I doubt she got the money, but I would love to hear if she actually won the case.
Yeah, I cannot find information one way or another. So the immediate reaction of the county Republicans to this was to oust Byron from the party, but a snag kind of came up. Turns out that when Byron switched his party affiliation in 1994, he didn't actually fill out any paperwork. He just started saying he was a member of the Republican Party.
So he was a party bigamist.
He was... Yep. Yeah, he wanted all the perks without the fucking dues. And so the party couldn't kick him out, which probably would have been the best feeling thing. So they just had to be like, this guy's not a member of the party. We do not like him. There are literally 3 other guys you could vote for. Please pick one of them.
Yeah, he's never been a member of us, even though, okay, just sorry, bye.
Yeah. We are Republicans in deep Democratic Tennessee. Like the one, a TV show that I watched of this, someone made a joke where it's like, it's not about Republican or Democrat. Everyone in this state's a Democrat. It's whether or not you're from the city or from the country. And so if you're a Republican in this state at the time, they're just like, we're trying our fucking best. Why are you doing this to us? We will make these mistakes on our own in the future. Right now, we cannot afford to. And after all of that, Byron wouldn't even come close to winning the Republican primary. He would end up losing to a dude named Walt Massey, who was the vice president of a construction company, who would then go on to lose to the highly popular Democrat Bart Gordon. It was probably one of the closer elections that Bart Gordon ever faced, but he continually, I think 55% was his low mark of votes that he got, and the high mark being somewhere around 75%. But to make it even worse, Byron finished third. He got a little over 20% of the vote, and for some reason, 6,500 people were just like, yeah, he's fucking with all of our taxes, and he might have raped someone, but he's promising low taxes, man.
Hate everything.
But the thing is, this wouldn't be the end for Byron, because Byron had a backup plan. Because in 1998, he was also running for the Tennessee Senate in the 15th District. And the reason that this was so attractive to him was because no other Republicans are running. And if he somehow lost the race to be the Republican nominee for Congress, he could easily slip into this race and immediately win the primary uncontested.
In like Flynn.
Yep. And all he would have to do is defeat one man, Putnam County State Senator of the past 20 years, Tommy Burks. Now, Fred Thomas Burks was born in 1940 in Cookeville, Tennessee. And up until he entered politics, he lived a pretty simple life as a hog farmer. He'd eventually be elected to the Tennessee State House in 1970 and then become state senator in 1978. And the dude had a reputation for being one of the most conservative people in state legislature. He was anti-choice. He wanted to ban gambling in the state. He wanted to abolish the state lottery. But what he was most known for was leading a charge to ban the teaching of evolution as fact in public schools. And he would introduce at least 2 bills trying to pass this, and both of them would end up failing, but it gained him and the state national notoriety. And look, I don't agree an ounce with this dude's politics, but everything that I've read about him as a person makes him seem like a pretty decent individual, at least in regards to his family, his farm, and his direct community. So many folks noted that if Tommy told you something in life or in a session of legislature, he wouldn't turn around and fuck you. Whether you like the answer or not, he was going to tell you the truth and what he was going to do, and he was going to stand by it. Now, most notable of his character, though, would be his daily routine. So being a hog farmer, even just normally, you're waking up before the sun comes up. But he's now, a member of the state legislature, so he has to get up earlier now. So typically he would wake up earlier than usual, himself, tend to his pigs and any seasonal crops that he had chosen to grow, and then drive about, I believe, an hour and a half to Nashville. But on his more extreme days, he would wake up even earlier, load up some pigs, drive them 90 miles east to Knoxville, and then drive another 190 miles west back to Nashville, and still end up on time for the day's political work. On those days, his commute was around 5 to 6 hours. And that's because every single day he would drive an hour and a half back home so he could have dinner with his family.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like that is a level of commitment that I at least have to respect.
That's a work ethic.
Yeah, that's 100%. And not only that, but each year the Burks would put on a little festival on their farm for the county. They'd invite all the school children to their farm, and they could pick their own pumpkin and go on a hayride. And so Tommy was absolutely adored by the county, which often resulted in him winning very easy re-election. And while he very well could have rode his popularity to higher office, state senator was about as high as Tommy ever wanted to get in politics. Probably because the commute to D.C. was not that, feasible.
Yeah. Was he not going to take care of those piggies? Come on.
Yeah. Look, I have to make sure that these pumpkins are as great as possible for all the kids who are going to show up. You know how many kids are in this county? I need that many pumpkins.
Yeah.
And they all got to be good.
Every kid needs a good pumpkin.
Exactly. So going into the 1998 election, his victory seemed so certain that instead of campaigning, Tommy decided he would just take that time back and spend it with his family.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks before Election Day, Tommy was working on his farm. He was working with a dude by the name of Wesley Rex, who had been his farmhand there for years and years. Around 8 in the morning, he's telling Wesley what to do, everything they need. And around that time, a car is driving onto the farm. Now, typically you don't see a lot of cars on dirt roads, things like that. And so this particular car was a fancy black Audi. And so seeing a fancy car on dirt roads is really weird. Not just because it's just not a practical thing to have.
And I'm sure in that kind of community too, like, what everyone drives.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
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 Like who's coming by.
Yeah. And so they just assumed that someone was lost. Wesley asked Tommy if he wants him to stick around, and Tommy's like, nah, I'll deal with this. You go ahead and get to work. So Wesley goes off. Half hour later, doesn't see Tommy. So he goes back, sees the truck exactly where it was, walks up to the truck, and he finds Tommy slumped over in his truck with a single bullet wound to the head.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So police arrived, and they noticed that nothing had been stolen, and that it appeared that Burks had been shot at close range through the open window of his truck. His foot was still on the brake of the truck, and it appeared that there was no attempt to protect himself from the gunshot, which led them to believe that the killer was more than likely someone that Tommy knew. But that theory began to get a little weirder when police started questioning Wesley. So we mentioned that Wesley saw him driving a black Audi, and so the more that they kind of start talking about this being a mysterious stranger in a fancy car using a single bullet to kill a politician, people started kind of wondering, was this a hit? Like, they're like, what the fuck happened? And so cops started looking into it as like, all right, so what, did this guy have a secret life? Did he have any mistresses? Did he have any connections to crime? Were any of his bills going to fuck anyone over? And they really quickly found out dude had no time for an affair.
Seriously.
He had no secret life, and no one's going to fucking kill a dude for embarrassing the state for saying that Charles Darwin shouldn't be in our schools.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. And so they were just completely baffled. For a little bit, they're like, maybe Wesley did it. But it got to the point they're just like, all right, no one stole any money, so it wasn't for money. It wasn't anyone around him politically. So who the fuck has the most to gain for this guy dying? And just like that, Byron Looper became the only candidate on the ballot. Because you see, Tennessee has a really weird rule. And that is, if the candidate died prior to the election, but after winning their primary, then that candidate could not be replaced by their party, and their name would be removed from the ballot. And suddenly Byron's long shot campaigns guaranteed that he would be the next state senator from the area.
And who else in the political sphere is unhinged enough to consider a hit?
And the thing is, he probably would have won the election too, if it wasn't for the one eyewitness on the scene. You see, it turns out Wesley Rex is one of those people who just has a rock solid memory. They were kind of saying that he had learning disabilities and things, but also that he was incredibly vital on the farm because if he saw something once, he could tell you exactly what was wrong. And he just thought really well in that particular regard. Yeah. And so they asked him, hey, draw the dude you saw in the Audi. And the picture that he had the sketch artist draw is a 1-for-1 of Byron Looper.
Good Lord.
Yeah, it's like as soon as they were done, they're just like, fuck, that's Byron. God damn it.
What, is that a photograph? Jesus Christ.
So they immediately start looking for Byron, only to discover that he is nowhere to be found in the whole county. Now, Byron would return about 4 days later, driving his usual car, a red Chevy Beretta. And he was approached by the cops, and he immediately asked them if they wanted to come inside for a Coke, which they took under consideration, and then immediately arrested him, because this is Pepsi country, motherfucker.
Oh, Lord.
Now, lucky for Byron, he had not one, but 2 alibis for the cops. First was an old high school friend of his who lived in Arkansas by the name of Joe Bond. Now, Joe's a former Marine, and Byron claimed to be with him during the time that the murder was committed. And the other was his mother in Georgia, whom he saw later that day. But also the only evidence that they had that Byron even did it was the eyewitness account of Wesley, and he didn't even see the crime getting committed. So if that's all they had going in, there was no way they were ever going to be able to put Byron behind bars. But the thing is, Byron had inadvertently created another witness the morning of the murder. You see, when he was supposed to be in Hot Springs, Arkansas, he had actually been spotted at a drive-thru. And by spotted, I mean the cashier there very much remembered him.
Oh my God.
So it turns out planning to do a murder can get you real hangry. So Byron pulled in to get a single biscuit. And I don't know if they mean a biscuit sandwich, but it sounds like he went in and he's like, I would like one biscuit. I want no liquid. There better be enough butter on it that I don't need liquid. Or by fucking God. What lunatic orders one fucking biscuit? I mean, there's your goddamn red flag. And so
he's paying with a credit card at that point too. It's like, well, am I going to carry cash on me? Get the fuck out of here! I'm Byron.
Look, man, I got a Kennedy $50. Is that good for you? Do you have change for a $2 bill? What about Confederate gold? So he pulls in, he asks for one biscuit, and when he pulls around, they give him his food, and he opens it up, and it's the wrong order. And he loses his goddamn mind. He starts yelling at the cashier, screaming at her to the point, and I don't know if y'all know this, but if you've worked in the service industry, you know this. Whenever someone yells at you to a high degree, you are remembered by that person for the rest of goddamn time and are placed on a list.
100%. Even if you're just like a little bit off, like that's a core memory now for your server.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you're like some doughy weirdo like Byron Looper.
Oh my God, who's coming in ordering a biscuit.
Yeah. I would like a single biscuit. Yes, I'm full of rage. I gotta hype myself up. So I would like some carbs and no caffeine. Yeah, and so the cashier was like, yeah, Byron came in that morning and yelled at me over a biscuit.
So he was definitely here.
Yeah, and guess what? He was driving a black Audi, and I thought to myself, it's kind of weird he's not in that shitty red car he always drives because his dick is half size. But this brought up another question, though. Where the fuck's the Audi? And if you're because part of the case they were operating was they were able to figure out the tires that the car would have had and matched it to the tire tracks at the scene of the crime. So if you're going to tie him to being there, him just being in a black Audi is still not quite enough evidence. You have to prove that it's the same fucking tires.
Right.
And if you can't find the car, then it's not going to work. So after his hunger stabilized and, he murdered his political opponent.
Oh my God.
Byron took the car to a nearby mechanic. He ordered for some work to be done, and then he signed the paperwork for the repairs under his real goddamn name.
Idiot!
And of course, he didn't come back for the car due to him being under arrest. And the mechanic, he went to sell the abandoned Audi because that's what you do when you abandon your car at a mechanic. They can sell it.
Didn't know that, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And so, you can't let it just sit there. And And so he sold the Audi. The police put out a local ad to try to find the car. And shortly after that, the police got a call from the dude who owned the car before Byron and confirmed that Looper had bought the car directly from him days prior to the murder. And yeah, he used his real name to buy the car.
Oh my God.
Airtight. Perfectly airtight.
This is just making me recognize how we truly live in an oversaturated murder and true crime bonanza, because it just feels like this is so clearly pre-Gone Girl. There's enough out there in the world. It's just I would certainly get caught, but I feel like I would do a better job of covering my tracks. General awareness.
Yeah, it's that old Mulaney bit about how much easier crime had to have been before the internet.
Yes,
and before science.
Yes, I mean to say nothing of the ego-driven mental issues that we are dealing with at the personal level with dear Byron.
Yeah. So there's only one more hurdle the cops have to cross now, and that is shutting down his alibi, because he still has people saying that he was in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and I believe it was Flowery Branch, Georgia, which are a great distance away from Cookeville.
Yeah.
So where he was in Arkansas was a full 8-hour drive away from where the murder had been committed. And this might have all just been some really weird coincidence. I mean, it wasn't, but it could have been. But the thing is, Joe Bond ended up calling the district attorney days after Byron got arrested with some very damning details. So it turns out the two had gone out for drinks a few weeks prior. And you know how it is after you have about 8 to 12 Bud Platinums, you start getting a little loose-lipped.
Oh my God.
Before long, Byron started bragging about how he's going to win the race. And if he can't do it by votes, then he'll just plan on shooting Tommy Burks.
Come on!
Which, look, people talk shit when they get half a bottle of gas station whiskey in them. So Joe didn't think much of it. But the day of the murder, he would get a knock at his door in the middle of the night. And standing there was Byron, who greeted him by simply saying, quote, "I busted a cap in that dude's head."
What?
Hey, friend. No hello, no how are you doing? Just, I busted a cap in that dude's head.
No, just, hey, for the past 8 hours, I'm riding high on murder and Dr. Dre's The Chronic.
Hey, you got any biscuits? And and so Joe, being the sensible sort, but also still being half a fucking wake, just kind of let Byron talk it all out. He acted like he was his friend, just kind of chilled out. They talked about, like, all right, I'll be your alibi. Here's what we'll do. Everything's going to be okay. You can chill out here for a few days and then you can go home and it'll all be fine. And then he waited until he knew Byron was in jail and he flipped as fast as he fucking could. Because Joe Bond is no fucking fool.
Yeah. That 8 hours can quickly turn into 6 if I say anything.
And so the thing is, Byron had no clue that Joe had just flipped. And he had no idea right up until Joe was called as a surprise witness for the state during the murder trial.
Amazing.
According to the reporters there, Byron's jaw just dropped when Joe walked in. And he
shit! That's kind of amazing.
But despite all of this, Byron's name was still the only name on the ballot, and it was going to stay that way unless the trial got rushed and he was convicted in a fortnight. And facing a hellish choice, Tommy's wife Charlotte announced that she was going to run a write-in campaign against her husband's murderer. It was really interesting hearing people talking about this. This all comes from a show on Oxygen that was called Dying, I believe is Dying to Fit In or Dying to Be a Part or something like that. It's a very interesting series. It was just all these people are just like, we got to go to the family because these are the only people who are probably going to be able to turn this around really quick. And they asked everyone in the family who wants to run, and Charlotte stepped up and said, I'll do it. So within 2 weeks of the election, they start running this grassroots campaign to try to let everyone fucking know you have to write in Charlotte Burks. Otherwise, a murderer, allegedly, will become your state senator.
Allegedly, for now. But really, I can't stress this enough. We will not have representation in Congress.
This biscuit yelling, card deed, real name using motherfucker, allegedly. Did a murder. And so on election day, Charlotte would end up winning 93% to 4.7%.
Wow. Good job.
This win would make Charlotte the first ever write-in candidate to win a seat in the state Senate. And weirdly enough, this still wouldn't be enough to get Byron removed from office as tax assessor. He would legally be the tax assessor up until 1999.
Oh my God.
Yeah, since the trial was still going on and the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation was still doing their fucking thing for all the weird shit that he was doing, eventually there was like a petition of ouster, I believe is what it was called, that people put forward, and using all the legal shit that he was in, they were like, yeah, we're kicking him out. He's no longer your tax assessor.
Excellent. We don't have a recall system. Let's just politely oust him as the Southerners we are.
Yeah, just ask him if he wants a sweet tea on his way out, but don't mean it. Do not give that man ice. So in the year 2000, the murder trial would begin. Now, the main reason that it had been pushed off for 2 straight years, allegedly, is that Byron went through about 6 lawyers. Part of this was probably a stalling tactic because he knew it wouldn't be going well, but the other part was probably because they wouldn't accept his reason for why he was claiming that he was being set up, that this was all set up by the Good Old Boy Network, and that, he clearly didn't do this. There's not enough evidence. I was with my mom sometime that day. I don't care what Joe Bond has to say. I don't care that he was my alibi. I don't care that the murder car was in my name. But yeah, eventually he got stuck with a lawyer that he stuck with. The trial would last about a week, and it would take the jury 4 hours of deliberation to find him guilty.
And it was probably 4 hours because they were like, you know what, let's just have lunch.
Yeah, guys, we will not get a full day's pay unless we chill out for 3 hours and 30 minutes. So let's just do this.
Chinese? Okay.
Sounds great. Yeah, so he would end up being found guilty, and he responded to this with absolutely no emotion or movement whatsoever. And in a sign of just how awesome of a person Charlotte Burks is and would be, she made the case that she did not want Byron sentenced to death, and very much like the idea of him being sentenced to life in prison. So that's what they did. The following years for Byron mostly included him partaking in as many frivolous lawsuits as he could. He sued a local TV station twice for defaming his character, and would sue the Tennessee Department of Corrections multiple times in an attempt to win $47 million in damages. And while he was at it, he tried repeatedly for a retrial, all of which were denied. As for Charlotte Burks, she would go on to have a long career in the state Senate. She'd be reelected 3 more terms and primarily served as the secretary of the Education Committee. She chaired the local tourism caucus, fought to improve the quality of services for victims of domestic violence, and won multiple Legislature of the Year awards from various domestic violence coalitions and mental health organizations, including NAMI. She remained a Democrat during her whole tenure, and when she recognized that the Republicans were about to take over the banner of conservatism throughout her region, she chose instead to not seek re-election and retired back to her family's farm. As for Byron, well, he died in prison. So on June 26, 2013, Byron attacked a pregnant counselor at the prison, and he had to be restrained by multiple people. And it appears as though this final bit of strain pushed his heart right off the edge, and he was found dead in his cell.
Wow.
Yeah, which is why I feel comfortable saying all of this, knowing that he will not sue me from beyond the grave.
True, yeah, and he attacked a pregnant woman?
Yeah, he's not a well person. Yeah. And weirdly enough, there is one lasting legacy with Byron that isn't even because of something that he did. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the website Something Awful. Have you ever been there before or are familiar with it?
I am not.
So in the early 2000s, they were kind of like a meme generator website. They would always have a funny article. They were founded in 1999, I believe, but they would have a funny daily article, but then there'd be Photoshop contests, there'd be debates on forums and things like that. They're the folks who created the All Your Base Are Belong to Us meme.
Adorable.
What else did they do? They invented the Let's Play form of YouTube videos that are very popular today. They're the reason Slender Man exists.
Amazing.
They also have probably my favorite article I've ever read online, where it's the founder of the website running for mayor of Silent Hill, the video game town of abject horror.
Oh my God.
But the founder of the website is a dude by the name of Richard Kiyanka, whose screen name is Lotax. And the reason he gave himself that name is because in 1997, he had initially volunteered to be a summer intern for Byron Looper. And then when discovering just how weird this dude was, backed the fuck out.
Amazing.
And that's why for the rest of the time, he was known as Richard Lotax Kiyanka.
Amazing.
Making him the more famous Lotax of the two.
Yes.
So
I love to see it.
So I hope it was worth it, Byron. I hope Daddy loves you, you fucking creep.
Seriously, the whole daddy issues thing always gets tagged on to women, but I argue
that it's worse in men.
So much more destructive for men.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm gonna send you a picture of Byron Looper. I'll do a screen share so you can see this. All right, I'm gonna refrain what I initially thought he looked like, because he does look like an Elon Musk with round glasses. He looks a lot like Mads Mikkelsen as well. Like he has like a Mads Mikkelsen Lecter look to him. Yeah, like I don't know. He's just such an odd dude. Like his eyes are just unsettling is what it is. Yeah. So yeah, that is the story of Byron Looper, one of the few American politicians who has held office who has also been convicted of murder.
And rightly so.
Yeah. So I imagine this is probably as good of a time to announce another plan that we have coming on here for the next year up until 2022. We're going to be doing a series on the podcast called Preview 2022, where we're going to be discussing fringy, gadfly, fascy sorts who are planning on running for office, because a lot of folks got blindsided by Marjorie Taylor Greene. They might not have been super familiar with Laura Loomer or Mike Lindell when they were running. And I think it's super important to know who the players are in 2022, especially if the country continues to take a bit of a fashy turn. But yeah, I think it should be a fun and educational sort of thing to prepare us for, a nightmare world that's possible in a dimension or two.
Damn it, Dusty.
Look, these are important things. But yeah, so that's something we're going to be doing here in the future, as well as also continuing to talk about American history and folks from the past. And oh my God, yeah, sorry, Una just sent me his Byron's mugshot where he looks very like, oh no, they caught me.
Yep.
That's a look that says there's no biscuits in prison. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed your time here. If there are any candidates in the 2022 election that you're particularly concerned about or would like us to talk about, please feel free to give us a shout out on the Twitter or on Instagram, where you can find us at Gadfly Pod. But yeah, I think that's it for us. So we'll see you next time on Gadfly. Biscuit prison, yeah.
Gadfly is a production of Added Serotonin. Our episodes are edited by Brianna Valentine of Rem Alternus Productions. Our theme song is Sophomore Makeout by Silent Partner, and you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at GadflyPod.
Ready to level up your cosplay game? Check out the Geek Forge on Etsy. With a variety of props to give your photos that extra spark, you'll find just what you need. Hold magical fire in the palm of your hand, or take a potion to restore your mana. With a large variety of colors, you can choose your own magical flavor for your cosplay. Bring drama to your photo shoots with these vibrant props and more, all available at the Geek Forge. Are you ready to level up your cosplay?